cookies, and after congratulating us on our first grandchild, she began to tell me about a man I did not know, Gary Heidner, the brother of one of our high school classmates in Wolf Point. Gary had been diagnosed with cancer and was operated on to remove a tumor from his brain earlier in the month. When Rita heard about it, she went up to see him in the hospital. On this 26th day of December, relieved that our daughter and her baby were both doing fine, and concerned only with driving the last 250 miles home without a blizzard overtaking us, I had just taken another sip of warm tea when through the haze I heard Rita saying, before his operation, his wife saw angels. There was a row of angels surrounding the bed where she lay. Every cell in my being snapped to attention. I sat on the couch stupefied, knowing instantly I was to write this story, that it had been given to me expressly by God to do so, and I was inadequate. There was no way I could write a book. Little things, yes, like the articles I did for magazines, short pieces, 1,000 words, those I could handle. But this, on angels. Quaking inside, I carefully lowered the china cup onto its saucer, leaned forward to set them on the coffee table before my trembling hands dropped them, and placed the half-eaten cookie on the napkin beside them. Rita, I forced out, can you tell me more? I don't know any more, she said, getting up and stepping into the kitchen. But I've got Rhonda's phone number right here. You can ask her. Like a wooden robot, I took the slip of paper and pushed it down deep in the pocket of my purse, willing myself to stop shaking, to keep her from seeing the irrational fear that swelled up inside me. What did I know of angels? Who was I to tell another story? Who was I to tell God's? Of course I knew they existed, had seen paintings of their great majestic beauty, the wings which carried them from heaven and back. How could God put wings on a body like us and make it look right anyway? That was a miracle in itself. I'd read their accounts in the Bible, most notably of the ones who announced the birth of the Christ child, Jesus our Savior. And every now and then a magazine would publish a story, usually at Christmas time, which told of someone seeing angels or being inexplicably saved by them. But me, qualified to write about them, I was far from it. The articles I wrote covered farming and agriculture, subjects I was familiar with since we grew wheat and raised cattle on our place in Montana, but never once had I considered writing about angels. I left Rita's house shaken, certain I could not carry out this great charge, that I was not worthy to be entrusted with it. All that winter, I vacillated between calling Rhonda or putting it off. How would you like to have a stranger on the phone, asking about your husband while he was fighting for his life? I felt like an intruder, hard and selfish, without care or consideration for her pain and suffering. Still, the certainty that God had assigned me to do this persisted. The days lengthened as spring came. We went through calving, seeding, haying, all the summer months of the next year, while I invented reasons to walk past the phone. Finally, I made myself do it. Rhonda herself said, "Hello." She was gracious, forthright, and matter-of-fact about telling me what had happened. She treated me like a friend rather than someone she had never met, and I was humbled by both her faith and generosity. Without pause or questioning, she told me of the coming of the angels and how they had given both her and Gary peace and comfort as he fought his illness. After we finished talking, I sat at the oak table in the office, filling in the notes I had taken by hand. I wonder what God has to say about this, I thought. How could I know? God rarely talks open-mouthed to me, but sometimes he instructs through his word, the Holy Bible, and I have learned to search for his direction there. This I would do now. Going to the other room, I picked up the tattered white Bible our widowed farm neighbor had given me for our high school graduation years before. Laying it on the table, I closed my eyes, asked God what he wanted me to do, and opened it to a random page. Looking down, my eyes fell upon this verse. "Write thee all the words that I have spoken unto thee in a book." Jeremiah, chapter 30, verse 2. Sounded like an order to me. Rhonda. Through the ages, angels have usually been identified by their dazzling white robes and magnificent wings, but in actuality they can come to us in various forms.